Good day, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for finding the time to join me this day. I will be presenting the Bantay ASF sa Barangay project of the Philippine College of Swine Practitioners. As we all know, ASF was first detected in Luzon on August of 2019. It is a major swine disease causing high mortality in all ages of swine, and worse, there is currently no known cure or vaccine to control the disease. Now, this is the ASF map of the Philippines showing infected zones in red as of September 21st, 2020. Since then, after it was confirmed in the province of Rizal in August of 2019, it has spread to all major swine-producing regions of Luzon. Latest provinces infected are Ilocos Sur and Albay. In southern Mindanao, ASF is moving slowly and infecting smallhold farms in the areas of Davao and North Cotabato. The Philippine Statistics Authority has reported a loss of 7.6% as of July 2020 from the total swine inventory of the Philippines. Most affected are commercial farms, which lost 15.9% of their inventory. Looking again at the swine population loss as reported by Manabat, based on a survey of commercial swine farms of the Philippines, he reported that North Luzon has lost 53.9% of its hog inventory. South Luzon, on the other hand, has reported only 1.3%, which however may increase depending on the current efforts to stem the tide of ASF infection and voluntary depopulation by farm owners due to the scare brought about by the disease. Mindanao, on the other hand, has reported only a 0.8 decrease in population since only smallhold farms had been reportedly affected by ASF. As a result, the Department of Agriculture has reported a pork supply shortage, and that is happening right now. Now, the DA has given the signal for the hog industry to start restocking nationwide. In fact, the DA has allotted 400 million pesos, equivalent to roughly $8 million, to help small hog farm raisers hit by ASF repopulate. The government also has a new program of elevated response to stop ASF spread in the Philippines. The government response framework has started with the babes in 2018 to 2019, and then it went for control from 2019 to 2020 with the Liempo program, and right now they are in the recovery mode from 2020 to 2023 with the Tigil elevated program, which will comprise recovery and elimination. But how will you rate the government's effort? Well, as we can see, that still remains to be seen, I should say. But just looking at the Tigil program, at least they have recognized the Barangay Bantay ASF program, or actually, I think this is the Bantay ASF sa Barangay program that the PCSP is trying to implement. But the question is the Philippines ready to repopulate affected swine farms? Again, my answer is a qualified yes. The preconditions recommended by the Bantay ASF sa Barangay project should be met in areas identified for restocking. But then you might ask, what is the Bantay ASF sa Barangay? Now, this is a government-private sector partnership envisioned to help to halt the spread of African swine fever in infected areas by containment and non-infected areas by exclusion to benefit both commercial and backyard farms. The project is built on the spirit of volunteerism demonstrated by participants of the Philippine College of Swine Practitioners for Bulacan project, who saw the value of government-private sector partnership to control the spread of ASF initially in the province of Bulacan. For the Bantay ASF sa Barangay to be successful, it will require a pool of trained volunteers. Now, these volunteers will be deputized as biosecurity officers, and their responsibility is to conduct regular farm visits in the barangays for ASF surveillance health monitoring, and farm compliance with biosecurity protocol. Looking at the priority activities of Bantay ASF sa barangay, number 1 is risk assessment, surveillance, and monitoring of ASF. Number 2 would be biosecurity and implementation for both backyard and commercial farms. Third, engagement of local government unit and stakeholders, meaning the city, municipal, barangay clusters, swine raisers, feed millers, and viajeros. Let's take each priority area one by one. First, under number 1 is area risk assessment. Before we repopulate a farm or restock a farm, we have to make sure that there is no ongoing outbreak within a 1-kilometer radius of the farm. Now, why is this important? We would like to make sure that we reduce the risk involved in restocking. Okay. Second, we have to look for high-risk activities present within the 1-kilometer radius of the farm that might be a source of ASF reinfection. These activities will be dumping in a dump site, slaughterhouses, timbangan ng bayan or common weighing scale for small hog farms, where hogs from different farms and localities would congregate for weighing, livestock auction markets, and wet markets. The national and local government directives that requires compliance due to the impact of COVID-19 that restrict movement of farm stock and biosecurity should be taken into consideration. The next under priority 1 also would be a surveillance program. Now, this is the PCSP recommended program for exit from a quarantine zone. Now, it is important to allow areas to exit from quarantine zone or red zone if no outbreak or presence of ASF is detected within 90 days from the last reported outbreak. Quarantine can be lifted and the area reclassified as pink zones. Surveillance by blood, saliva, or fecal testings will continue for a period of 180 days at intervals prescribed by the Bureau of Animal Industry. If, however, ASF is detected, it will revert to a red zone. However, if none is detected, the area can be reclassified as a yellow zone. Okay. Now, farms released from quarantine are subject to biannual ASF random testing for using the PCR test. As an alternative to PCR test for monitoring, there should be a cost-effective diagnostic tool to conduct surveillance locally. An example would be the ASF Nanogold Biosensor Test Kit that was developed by a veterinary team at the Central Luzon State University. Other than collecting specimens for samples, like the blood, saliva, and feces, clinical science for monitoring ASF is also available. So you would see that in this particular table, you would have the score on one side and then the weight given to each clinical sign, okay, and a description of the clinical sign. If a particular farm or pigs in a farm would score, okay, 10 or higher, that would be highly suspicious of ASF, and that the pigs in that farm should be held, they should be put on hold, not be allowed to move until a laboratory confirmation is conducted for ASF. Okay. The second area would be biosecurity. Now, some questions to ask for but to identify biosecurity weaknesses are important because we would like to know how ASF was able to enter the farm or a locality. The answer is important because we would like to use that as part of the interventions that are needed to prevent ASF virus re-entry in the future once we start restocking the farm. Okay. However, when we put in the risk mitigation measures for biosecurity, we have to make sure that it is doable and cost-effective. Otherwise, we would have a list of good biosecurity measures or protocols which could not be complied with by the farm. In a study conducted by Dr. San Esteban, Masilungan et al., to determine the pathways used by ASF to enter farms in Bulacan, they found out that transport as one of the major means of transportation of ASF spread. Other means of transmission actually are contaminated materials that are brought in by dogs and cats into the farm. The role of birds entering pig farms and flies have also been looked at as a potential source of ASF transmission. Leachate from pigs that were buried within the grounds or the area near the farm could contaminate the groundwater, which would later be sucked. No, the deep well, the groundwater would be sucked by a deep well, and that would be possible cause of contamination if it is used for drinking or for cleaning the pig pens. Now, in farms that do not have digesters, okay, we do not have biogas digesters, the manure and the solid and liquid waste are being discharged directly to irrigation canals or streams or rivers, and these are suspected of spreading ASF by flooding of farms in low-lying areas during the monsoon season. Okay. Now, to minimize the risk of ASF reinfection or infection, the biosecurity classification, the farms are classified according to biosecurity levels. No? So farms that are of level 1 and 2, okay, would have to comply with the descriptions found in this tabulation, okay, and farms that are scoring lower than 48 would not be qualified or would not be qualified for level 1 biosecurity. Same is with level 2. The minimum score for passing should be 52. Now, why is this important? This is important because farms that are compliant with level 1 will not be automatically stamped out if they are within the 500-meter radius of an outbreak. Okay, they will not be subject to automatic culling. Okay, they will be allowed to continue the business for as long as the pigs in the farm are not infected. However, if the pigs are infected, of course, they would be subject to automatic culling. So, part of the job of the biosecurity officer is to make sure that the farms are compliant with the minimum requirements for biosecurity, to minimize the risk of ASF infection, and at the same time, not be subject to automatic culling or stamping out. Now, engagement with local government units and stakeholder support is important. It's the third priority area. Backyard swine farms compliant with biosecurity level 1 should also be assured by the local government or the national government of indemnification should their pigs be infected by ASF and culled. Now, all the elements must be present before the project is implemented. Otherwise, success cannot be assured. Now, after all the requirements or preconditions for restocking has been complied with, then the farms are selected and prepared for restocking. Now, this is an outline of farm repopulation procedure post-ASF infection. Okay? The first procedure is to make sure that we do proper disinfection, cleaning and disinfection, or decontamination. All debris, organic, furniture, garbage, etc. has to be removed or discarded. Grass should be cut, loose stones should be moved, and we should also clean canals of debris. After that, it should be allowed to dry, okay, to make sure that the virus would be destroyed. And at the same time, there should be a third party to conduct an audit or evaluation to make sure that the farm is really clean and none of the potential infected materials infected by fomites are present. Okay. Once it passes the decontamination procedure, then it should be prepared for a bioassay. Now, the bioassay is an environmental testing procedure wherein we swab the surfaces of the floors, walls, canals, and the roof to make sure that there is no more residual ASF virus and that the contamination has been successful. Okay? Again, here we will use the qPCR, PCR, or the ASF nanogold biosensor test. If the bioassay proves negative, and then we should make sure that the farm owners and the farm staff are trained in biosecurity. No, they should be cognizant of the weaknesses of the farm, and they should be ready to initiate changes that would mitigate the risk of reinfection. Biosecurity facilities should also be put in place, like a fence to keep pests out, shower room, okay, make sure that they are clean, where they can change their clothes and shoes prior to entering the pig farm. Bird proofing is important, no, especially if birds have been suspected as the cause of the outbreak. No, there should be fumigation bags, and there should also be a biogas digester to make sure that the liquid and solid waste would be decomposed, no? And that would cause actually the virus, that would also help kill the virus. Once all this has been secured, no, we have done with the decontamination, done with the bioassay, and all the biosecurity preparation has taken place, then we should be ready to bring in the sentinel pigs. Okay. Now, sentinel pigs are deployed to biologically validate the eradication of ASF virus in the farm environment. The first validation, no, would be an in vitro test, and that is the bioassay. So now we would like to put in pigs, live animals. Okay, this will be the biological test to make sure that really there are no more infected viral particles within the farm. Now, the number of sentinel pigs deployed would depend on the size of the farm and the appetite of the owner for taking risks. Pigs have to be sourced from high health farms, tested free from ASF. Okay, monitoring and surveillance during the growing period. If growing pigs were put in the farm, they should be monitored weekly for absence of clinical signs of ASF using the tabulation that I presented earlier for the duration of the rearing period. Okay, blood or PCR test or ASF nanogold biosensor test kit would be collected every 7 to 21 days as prescribed by the Bureau of Animal Industry in the National Zoning and Movement Plan. Now, once successful sentinel pigs prove to be ASF negative, and the farm therefore is qualified to proceed to raising pigs after it has registered with the local government unit. No, this is actually for monitoring purposes, because the owner should agree to regular health and biosecurity visits by the deputized biosecurity officer. Now, that is important because although the area could be declared already in a pink zone or a yellow zone, just like COVID, we are not sure that the virus is not around anymore in the locality. So all of these things had to be put in place to make sure that the farm would be minimizing risk and they should be able to proceed to raise pigs. Now, in conclusion, we would be able to say if the Bantay ASF sa barangay is the correct program to implement for ASF control and stocking swine farms in ASF infected zones. For success, the support of LGUs and trained personnel and commitment of all stakeholders to control ASF up to the barangay level is important. Effective ASF surveillance, health monitoring, and swine movement control, including of the bajeros in the areas with restocked swine farms, should be important. The availability of timely and accurate diagnosis using cost-effective test kit like the ASF nanogold biosensor test kit is important for surveillance. Now, strict implementation of biosecurity protocols in the stock farms should be put in place and followed religiously. So I believe that we can still win the fight against ASF, and thank you for listening.
Today, with thousands of dedicated colleagues reaching out to customers around the world, Zoetis brings a singular focus on animal health to the quality products, services, and solutions it offers veterinarians and livestock farmers. Because the world depends on animals, those who care for them can depend on us. We're Zoetis. For animals, for health, for you. Today, with thousands of dedicated colleagues reaching out to customers around the world, Zoetis brings a singular focus on animal health to the quality products, services, and solutions it offers veterinarians and livestock farmers. Because the world depends on animals, those who care for them can depend on us. We're Zoetis. For animals, for health, for you. Today, with thousands of dedicated colleagues reaching out to customers around the world, Zoetis brings a singular focus on animal health to the quality products, services, and solutions it offers veterinarians and livestock farmers. Because the world depends on animals, those who care for them can depend on us. We're Zoetis. For animals, for health, for you.
Tonicity PX is the first isotonic protein drink for pigs. Made from all natural ingredients, Tonicity PX is scientifically proven to help your pigs thrive. Use on pigs from 2 days old to provide early hydration and nutrients, reduce pre-weaning mortality, and help pigs cope with stress. The convenient powder formula comes in 11-pound resealable bags and fits in easily to your existing pig management system. Simply mix 1 scoop of PX powder to 1 gallon of water and give 1 pint per liter per day. Your pigs will love the taste. Tonicity PX, a healthy start for your pigs. Smart business for you. Visit tonicity.com for details.
Matagal ba ang paggaling ng sugat ng inyong mga alagang baboy? Ang Topicure ay isang natural wound spray na mabilis na nagpapagaling ng mga sugat ng baboy. Ito ay mayroong pinus oil, eucalyptus oil at citrus deodara na nagsisilbing anti-maggot, fly repellent at antimicrobial sa sugat. Higit sa lahat, ito ay may curcumin oil o luyang dilaw na mabisang solusyon sa pamamaga ng sugat ng baboy. Topicure, the natural wound spray. Para sa malusog at mahusay na paghahayupan, Pork Champ!
Today, with thousands of dedicated colleagues reaching out to customers around the world, Zoetis brings a singular focus on animal health to the quality products, services, and solutions it offers veterinarians and livestock farmers. Because the world depends on animals, those who care for them can depend on us. We're Zoetis. For animals, for health, for you. Today, with thousands of dedicated colleagues reaching out to customers around the world, Zoetis brings a singular focus on animal health to the quality products, services, and solutions it offers veterinarians and livestock farmers. Because the world depends on animals, those who care for them can depend on us. We're Zoetis. For animals, for health, for you.